Hey folks, welcome back to Software Testing Hacks. In this video, let's talk about Iterative Model, which is another model of SDLC model. Before we learn Iterative Model, if you have not watched the videos related to Waterfall Model and V Model, please do watch it. So that will help you to learn more about Iterative Model. Before we begin, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Iterative model is a type of SDLC model where the requirements can be divided into smaller tasks and then it is implemented part by part. Okay. For example, here you can see in the diagram you have a client. Okay, you are sitting with a client and then you understood the requirement. So now you have all the requirements in your hand. So what you can do is with the help of that requirement, you divide all the requirement into different parts or chunks, and then each part will be worked in an iterative manner. For example, here we see that the requirement is there. In first build, what happens is one piece will be picked and then we will design it and then the development will be done, testing will be done, and then it will be implemented. Basically, then now one part of the requirement is already available to the real users or in the production. Okay. After the completion of the deployment, the next build will be taken up, and then next part of the requirement will be taken up, and then the development and then the designing, all that happens, and then testing happens, and then the implementation happens. So this process happens until the requirement is complete. All the requirements are completed. So till then, this model works. So did you feel that this model is better than V model and waterfall model? It looks so because in V model or even in waterfall model, at that time we have to have all the requirement freezed. Okay, once the requirement is freezed, then only we will be taking up the next step, right? And there were no much changes or not at all. There was no feasibility for the changes. It cannot accommodate any other changes. So that's where this iterative model looks far more better than compared to V model or even the waterfall model. So this is basically how iterative model works. A requirement will be collected and then here, the development and the designing part works, and then the testing implementation works, goes in one flow. And after that, the next part or next chunk is taken and then worked on. Here, the testing is also required frequent number of times. So that will help to stabilize the application if there is any changes that is required. So that also will be helpful to manage the change in requirement. Okay. So let's see some of the key principles of iterative model. The model is incremental progress because the iterative model emphasizes incremental development, breaking down the project into manageable parts. This allows for quicker delivery of functional components and facilitates early user feedback. So here this model actually goes in an incremental development way. So first part will be delivered first, next part will be delivered in the next, and then the other part. So it goes in an incremental development way. Okay. So this allows for the quicker delivery of the functional components and facilitates early user feedback. If there is any feedback is required or any changes is required in the first part itself, can be as it can handle the changes. So it again comes to the backlog or to the requirement, and then the designing development will take place and testing will take place, and then any changes is required, then it will be implemented to the production. Flexibility and adaptability. One of the model's strength is its adaptability to changing requirements. Developers can easily incorporate new features or modifications during any iteration without disrupting the entire development process. Okay, so basically, it handles the changing requirements and also developers. It helps to incorporate new changes or any modifications. Okay, that is what we spoke in the previous point, also, right? So, the same thing here also, it provides basically flexibility and it is very adaptable if there is any changes in the requirement. Continuous evolution. Regular assessment and evaluation occur after each iteration, okay, enabling developers to identify and rectify issues early in the development cycle. This continuous feedback loop ensures that the final product aligns with the user expectation. Okay, so this is one of the major advantage. Okay, there will be a quick review once after all this development is done and then the everything implementation is done. It will go through the review process. In that itself, if there is any user feedback or any issues that user encounters will be reported, and then it will come back to the developers again, and that needs to be fixed. So here it goes in an iterative manner. Risk management. Risks are addressed proactively throughout the development process. By identifying potential issues early on, the team can mitigate risks and make informed decisions, reducing the likelihood of project setbacks. Okay, so if there is any risk involved, that will be proactively addressed, and then this helps us to ensure that if the user is facing any issue, that we can mitigate, okay, with the decision that we make. Suppose if there is any bug, it is leaked to the production, immediately we can go ahead and then make the changes and then we can deploy it to our QA environment, test it, and then we can further go ahead and deploy it, right? So if there is any risk involved, is better we can fix it and then deploy it to the production. So there is continuous that process, but in case of other models, right, so it was one time process only. Once the development is done and then the testing is done, so it goes through each phases in a sequential manner. But here it is able to mitigate any issues if it is encountered in the production. Okay, see some of the advantages of iterative model. Flexibility and adaptability. We saw that it is very flexible and also adaptable to any new requirement changes. Early and continuous delivery of value. Okay, so as it is divided into parts, each part will be delivered into the production. So it is we are delivering each chunk and then we are providing value. Okay, improved stakeholder involvement. At this time, if the stakeholder or the client, whoever is required or whoever is the owner of the product, if he needs any changes or if he wants any specific thing to be done, he can sit with the development team or else the testing team to understand what is going on. So he can also be involved basically. It is not a linear process, right? And also it is not a sequential process. So that's the reason their involvement will be more. Enhanced collaboration, as we discussed. So stakeholders will be there to see if any requirement change is required of any of the feedback that he wants to give, he can give it. So there will be collaboration with the team who is working on the actual project. Continuous quality improvement. Okay. So it requires multiple times of testing, right? So that's where there will be a quality improvement also. Faster time to market. So we know that in the other model, what was happening was at one shot we were releasing it to the production. Okay, we have to wait until the whole project was getting completed. But here it is not required to wait for the whole project to get complete. So it is divided into chunks. So one chunk will go into the market first, and then the next chunk will go to the market next. So it is faster. It will be delivered to the users, real users, little faster. And increased customer satisfaction, as it involves some of the reviews or any user feedback will be given. So that can help us to accommodate those type of changes. Okay, with the help of this model, we can make sure that the customer satisfaction is more in this iterative model. So hope this makes sense. Hope you have understood what is iterative model and what are the key features of iterative model and what are the main advantages of using the iterative model over other different models like V model and waterfall model. Hope you have liked this video. If you have liked it, please do like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.